Hello everybody, this is Ben with another Minecraft tutorial video. In this video I'm going to show how to build a automatic tree farm using the features introduced in 1.5, the redstone update. So the main feature we're going to be using for this tree farm is the new features with dispensers. A dispenser with bone meal will use that bone meal to grow trees, wheat, and other crops that you can use bone meal on. In this way, we can easily create a tree farm. So we have a dispenser filled with bone meal, another filled with saplings. We can walk up. Let me get out of survive or creative. Now, because we're trying to force the tree to grow in a restricted area, it does take quite a bit more bone meal than normal to get it to grow. This is going to be a feature of all tree farms. But you can easily just hold down your, way down your mouse button, go get a sandwich, and come back in a half an hour and have a whole stockpiles of tree waiting for you. The trees are then pushed down here, where an array of pistons push them out, so you can get a nice big block of trees for you to cut down. So in earlier designs, I used the fact that redstone will pass through a solid block, and then I could just use a piston to push that block away. And this works fine, except if you want to add a dispenser, because it has to take either this spot or this spot if you still want to push it with a piston. So instead of doing it that way, I'm going to use a bud switch. BUD stands for block update detector. And basically that's what it does. Whenever a block adjacent to this piston gets updated, it triggers. This one here gives off a 1-tick pulse every time a block around it is updated. So how I want this to work is this bud switch is going to be up near the top of the tree, or the top of the device, away from the dispenser. And when a tree grows, it will go there, trigger this once, then I want to push it out of the way, trigger this again, and then retract, which triggers the bud switch a third time. So we want this to fire every 3 pulses. And we'll get into how we're going to accomplish that. 1, 2, 3. So let's get building. So you're going to want a pretty wide area to build this thing. You need both your tree farm area and a place to store your trees once you've made them. After that, you want to lay out a 3x5 Here you want to put in a dirt block, like so, and then you want to dig down underneath it. So we're going to put our dispenser like this, and a pressure plate. I used a wooden pressure plate there. Unfortunately, when leaves decay, they will drop saplings, and if the sapling lands on a wooden pressure plate, it won't trigger it, so it's probably best just to use a stone one. Okay. So we put a piece of redstone there, a torch there, and a repeater. Then we want a comparator there. So now if we stand, it will continuously fire. Next we want to build the actual pistons that push out the tree once it's created. So we stack up 4 non-sticky pistons, like so, and then we want to make sure this tree doesn't grow too big, so we do 2 up and 1 over. And that will consistently give you trees that are 4 blocks tall. I've never had an issue with wood being left up here in this space between the pistons and the top here. Next we have to build the bud switch. So we're going to put the bud switch right here. So we take a sticky piston and put it facing away from where you stand. That gets a redstone block. And we're going to put a repeater there. Put a piece of glowstone there. Torch. 2, and then 2 redstone like that. Now this should work, so let's test it out. Awesome. Okay, now we want to make a clock. So we only want this to update, or we only want these pistons to trigger once every 3 times. Otherwise, they'll trigger themselves and create an endless loop. It's not a good thing. So what we're going to do is make a pretty simple clock. So if you put a repeater going into another repeater, you create locked repeaters. Now, no matter what signal you put into the repeater, it won't go as long as it's locked. So we can use that to our advantage here by connecting them into a loop. So if I can grab a lever here, I will show you. So this is now on, this isn't powered, but if we trigger the bud switch, you'll see now this is a clock. Now in this case we want these 2 to be powered and 1 to be off. Wiring around here is pretty tricky. You don't want to put anything next to these blocks or else you're going to create a bud switch where you're just going to directly power them when you don't want to. So instead, We're going to go one out. And you only need 2 torches to power these 4 pistons. We're also going to add another dispenser to shoot out saplings. This allows us to extend the number of trees we can make. If we did this without an additional source of saplings, we would be limited to only 64. You can leave this out if you don't intend to do more than 64 at a time. Actually, we need that. Okay. So now we can test this out. So what's going to happen is I'm going to place this block. It's going to be pushed out. And it's not going to re-trigger itself. You can see that there. Let's try it again. Very nice. So now this is done, we can work on the next piece of it, which is the piston array. So we have reached the end. I'll just mark that down. Okay. So then I like to go 10 blocks over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're going to create our array here. So this represents the tree line. We want to put our pistons, we want non-sticky pistons here. We want to put our pistons here, and then we want to activate them there. So I'm going to put the pistons in and then get back to you. Okay, so now that we have our array of 4 by 10 pistons that line up here, we can start wiring them up. So a cool thing about a torch is that one torch can power 2 pistons. So we only need 2 lines of torches here to power all 4 vertical pistons. So save on resources that way. And then we just put a torch down on each of these blocks. Double checking, we're missing 1 from this one. Cool. Now we just put a line of redstone. Okay. Next we want to create a smart piston. So a smart piston is just a piston. It's just a piston. Nope. is a piston hooked up to itself so that when you put a block in front of it, this block is powered by this torch here, which powers this line, which powers this piston, pushing it away. So that's a very easy way of detecting if there's a block somewhere. And we're going to use it here. So we have a torch down on the ground. We're going to put some redstone. Going into a block with the redstone on it. Check it out. So now all these are retracted. So just line going in. Now if we put a block in front of this, pushes the whole thing out. The last thing we want to do is deal with the leaves. As you can see here, the leaves build up pretty quickly, and if you don't manage them, they will shut you down. One of the biggest issues I've had is leaves spawning here and here. And when they do that, you can't place a sapling. So if you were to be AFK here, you'd basically just be wasting time. So in order to prevent that, you can put a half slab there and one up here. Now the cool thing about this is you can still place your saplings, yet these can't spawn in between here though. So another area that you would want to protect from leaves is this dispenser if you're using it. So putting string also prevents leaves from spawning in this space, and yet items can pass through. So this will continue firing out and leaves won't block it. You can't see it here, but normally if you build up enough leaves, you can distinctly see where you place the string there. The final issue is the bud switch here. Now, leaves will be spawned at the same time as the tree, so those aren't really an issue, because the bud switch will already be triggering for that. The issue is when they decay. Leaves will decay randomly, and when they do, they will trigger the bud switch. And this can mess up your clock if it triggers halfway through. So what you want to do is you just want to put either string or a block around the entire bud switch. And that will prevent it from triggering when you don't want it to. So now this should be good to go. You want to test it out. It'd probably be a good idea to actually fill that with bone meal. As you can see, it's not particularly fast. It is faster than previous designs. The nerfing of the bone meal does hurt it somewhat. Of course, being able to use a dispenser increases, so the rate you can spawn these at. So after about 12 trees, we should activate this array. Oh, there we go. So you can see here that successfully did push out all these. And this will go on for a good while. So that's how you build a fully automated tree farm using the new features introduced in 1.5. I'm just seeing how much bone meal we use here. So we started with 9 stacks. We used a little over 5 stacks to produce 12 trees. So definitely you want to build this next to a skeleton farm. So I hope this tutorial has been useful for you, and have fun building your own tree farm in your own world. See you later.